Have you ever wondered why some of the strongest people choose to spend so much time alone? Most people assume that being alone means being lonely. They believe that if someone avoids crowds, enjoys solitude, or doesn't constantly seek attention, something must be wrong. Society often teaches us that happiness comes from always surrounded by people. But Sigma men see the world differently. To a Sigma, being alone isn't a punishment, it's a choice. It's where they think clearly, recharge their energy, and build the mindset that separates them from the crowd. The truth is, Sigma men don't avoid people because they hate them. They avoid unnecessary noise because they value peace more than popularity. They'd rather have a few genuine connections than a room full of people who don't truly understand them. This is why they're often misunderstood. Others mistake their silence for arrogance, their independence for loneliness, and their distance for weakness. But behind that quiet personality is someone who has learned that constant attention isn't the same as genuine fulfillment. The most interesting part is that the more comfortable a Sigma becomes with being alone, the stronger they often become. They learn to trust themselves, make decisions without outside validation, and develop a level of confidence that doesn't depend on applause. So, why do Sigma men really prefer being alone? Is it because they dislike people, or is there a much deeper reason that most never notice? In today's video, we'll uncover the real psychology behind why Sigma men choose solitude, and why it's probably not what you think. Stay until the end, because the final reason completely changes the way most people see loneliness and strength. Asterisk 1. They think better in solitude. One of the biggest reasons Sigma men prefer being alone is that solitude gives them clarity. While many people need constant conversation or activity to feel comfortable, a Sigma often does their best thinking in silence. Life is full of distractions. Social media, endless notifications, unnecessary conversations, and other people's opinions constantly compete for attention. A Sigma understands that it's difficult to think clearly when your mind is always filled with noise. That's why they intentionally create space to be alone. When they're by themselves, they can reflect on their goals, analyze their decisions, and solve problems without outside pressure. Instead of reacting emotionally, they think logically. Instead of following the crowd, they evaluate situations from multiple angles before making a decision. Many people misunderstand this behavior. They assume a Sigma is lonely or antisocial because they spend so much time alone. In reality, solitude is often where they feel most focused and productive. Some of the biggest decisions in a Sigma's life are made during quiet moments, not in crowded rooms. They know that wisdom rarely appears in chaos. It grows in silence, patience, and deep thinking. This habit also helps them avoid impulsive decisions. While others rush to react, the Sigma takes time to observe, reflect, and choose the best path forward. To them, being alone isn't escaping life, it's creating the mental space needed to live it with greater purpose. Asterisk 2. They value quality over popularity. Another reason Sigma men prefer being alone is that they value quality over popularity. In today's world, many people measure success by the number of followers they have, the size of their social circle, or how often they're surrounded by others. A Sigma sees things very differently. To them, having dozens of shallow relationships is far less valuable than having one or two genuine connections built on trust and respect. They don't feel the need to be accepted by everyone. They understand that trying to please every person you meet often leads to losing yourself in the process. Instead of chasing popularity, a Sigma focuses on building meaningful relationships with people who share similar values. They would rather spend an evening alone, spend hours pretending to enjoy the company of people they cannot truly trust. This doesn't mean they dislike social interaction. They simply become selective about who they allow into their lives. Over time, they learn that not everyone deserves unlimited access to their time, attention, or energy. Every relationship has an emotional cost, and a Sigma prefers investing that energy where it is appreciated. Many people mistake this selectiveness for arrogance or isolation. In reality, it comes from experience. They've learned that peace is often more valuable than popularity. A Sigma doesn't count friends to measure success. They measure success by the depth of the relationships they keep. That's why being alone never feels like losing something important. They know that genuine connection is about quality, not quantity. Asterisk 3. They protect their pace at all costs. One of the biggest priorities in a Sigma man's life is protecting his peace. As he grows older and gains more life experience, he realizes that peace is one of the few things money cannot buy. Because of this, he becomes extremely careful about what he allows into his life. He avoids unnecessary arguments, endless drama, and people who constantly create problems. He understands that every conflict demands emotional energy, and not every conflict deserves a response. Many people believe that staying silent means losing. A Sigma sees it differently. Sometimes the strongest move is simply walking away. Instead of proving a point to someone who refuses to listen, he protects his mental energy. Instead of chasing toxic relationships, he chooses distance. Instead of reacting emotionally, he remains calm and lets time reveal the truth. This mindset often surprises people. They expect the Sigma to defend himself, argue back, or seek revenge. Instead, they watch him quietly leave situations that no longer bring value to his life. That isn't weakness, it's discipline. A Sigma understands that every unnecessary argument steals time that could have been spent improving himself. That's why he chooses peace over pride, silence over chaos, and distance over unnecessary conflict. For him, protecting his peace isn't selfish. It's one of the smartest investments he can make in his future. Asterisk 4. They don't need constant validation. Another reason Sigma men prefer being alone is that they don't depend on constant validation from other people. Many individuals measure their value through likes, compliments, attention, or approval. They feel confident only when other people recognize their achievements. A Sigma builds confidence differently. His confidence comes from keeping promises to himself, improving every day, and knowing that his worth doesn't change because someone else approves or disapproves. This allows him to make decisions independently. He doesn't choose a career because it's popular. He doesn't follow trends just to fit in. He doesn't change his personality to make strangers like him. Instead, he focuses on living according to his own principles. This independence is one of the reasons he enjoys solitude so much. When you're not constantly seeking validation, being alone no longer feels uncomfortable. It becomes peaceful. Of course, a Sigma appreciates genuine respect and encouragement just like anyone else. The difference is that he doesn't depend on them to feel complete. His self-worth is built internally rather than externally. That kind of confidence is difficult to shake because it isn't controlled by changing opinions. And that's why a Sigma can walk into a room without needing everyone's attention and still leave a lasting impression. True confidence doesn't ask for permission. It quietly exists, whether anyone notices it or not. Asterisk 5. Being alone makes them stronger, not lonelier. Perhaps the biggest reason Sigma men prefer being alone is because solitude transforms them. Most people fear being alone because they associate it with loneliness. A Sigma experiences something completely different. When he spends time alone, he learns new skills. He reflects on mistakes. He develops discipline. He strengthens his mind. He discovers who he really is without the constant influence of other people's expectations. Every hour spent in solitude becomes an investment in personal growth. This is why many Sigma men become calmer, wiser, and more emotionally stable over time. They aren't escaping the world, they're preparing themselves for it. Solitude teaches patience. It teaches independence. It teaches emotional control. Most importantly, it teaches a Sigma that happiness doesn't have to come from outside sources. Once someone becomes comfortable being alone, they become much harder to manipulate through fear of rejection or loneliness. That freedom changes everything. The Sigma no longer stays in unhealthy relationships just because he fears being alone. He no longer tolerates disrespect simply to keep people around. He chooses quality over quantity, peace over popularity, and growth over temporary comfort. And that's why solitude is not a weakness for a Sigma. It's one of the greatest sources of his strength. The world sees someone standing alone. The Sigma sees someone becoming unstoppable. Before you go, here's one question I'd like you to think about. Asterisk, do you believe being alone makes a person stronger, or do you think true strength comes from being surrounded by the right people? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video and found it valuable, don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and join the community for more videos about the Sigma mindset, psychology, self-discipline, and personal growth. Remember, being alone doesn't mean you're losing. Sometimes it's the place where you discover who you truly are. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.